This video is a mess, but so am I. Welcome, dear reader. I'm so glad that you made it here. I hope you're having a peaceful day. I'm not, and if you are not having a peaceful day, then this video isn't going to help you either, because I'm not okay. I just finished All the Young Dudes, the series, and Marauder's fanfiction, Harry Potter fanfiction following Remus Lupin, James Potter, Sirius Black, and Peter Pettigrew. I feel like I need to talk about this, but I can't express it. I can't express the feelings that I have about this book, but I need to express them in some way. And so here you have it, this video. I am broken. I loved the first book and the second book. The time at Hogwarts spent and retold through Lupin's, so Remus's eyes, is beautiful. I really feel as though I've gained new friends through this book because they are just the most comforting characters of all time. Remus, in a very different way from James, for example. James is just so action-oriented. He helps everyone as much as he can. He is always a bit critical about himself and others as well, but he has the best intentions at heart. He will always stand up for the people that he cares about the most. Sirius is seen through Remus's eyes, and Remus loves Sirius almost from the beginning. You could think of him as a god almost, because Remus sees him as so brave, so talented, so creative. Remus himself is a comfort character on such a different level because he doubts himself so much. He is so secretive, and he has major trust issues and commitment issues because he was never really cared for. Having grown up in an orphanage, his father having killed himself when he was 5 years old, and then his mother leaving him. But still, Remus manages to trust people again and to find his friend group and to open up a bit, even though he struggles a long time. He finds positive aspects in being a werewolf, even though at the beginning it is so excruciatingly painful for him. You cannot not love it. You have to love it. If you read it, the first 2 books, they're just wonderful. And you feel as though you have spent some time living at Hogwarts yourself, which is beautiful. And then the 3rd book comes along. You think, why did I read this? Why? I have lost my mind. Maybe. So if you want to read this book, please do, this series. I really recommend it to everyone. But just if you are sensitive to tragic endings, to heartbreaking endings, to soul-shattering endings, just skip the 3rd book, but the first 2 are so worth it. A big part of this book and this series, and what I liked so much about it, is that each chapter has its own, almost each chapter has its own song, and the songs are 70s and 80s inspired because the whole plot plays in the 70s and 80s, and whenever a new song by David Bowie, for example, came out, or by Queen or The Kinks, some lines of the song are put into the chapter, and it just fits so well. For example, Lady Stardust, some lines out of that song show how Remus sees Sirius, like through his eyes. All the Young Dudes changed my music taste 100%. I now listen to David Bowie and Queen exclusively. I do not regret it. I don't. The title itself is inspired by a song which is called All the Young Dudes, big surprise, by Matt the Hopple, something like that. And I love the song. Don't know whether I'll ever be able to listen to these songs again after finishing the epilogue. Probably not. I don't know how to tell you how I feel. I think silence says most. Okay. Okay. The worst part about the third book was that I read a version of the third book where Mrs. Kingbean wrote chapter notes at the beginning of each chapter, and she for content warnings and trigger warnings, and then each chapter at the beginning I already knew what was going to happen, because she says like she doesn't say it directly, but like major character death here or something like that. That hurt. That really hurt me. This is not really a spoiler for you if you have read Harry Potter, because then you know that Harry's parents die and that Peter Pettigrew betrayed them, and that's exactly what the third book is about. It plays exactly in that year where James and Lily are killed, and other people as well, many other people, and Remus believes that Sirius betrayed them and not Peter, and he doesn't find out until 12 years later, and reading that part was most heartbreaking. Just a quick update. I just finished All the Young Dudes book 2, so the years at Hogwarts 5 to 7, and it is such a happy ending. Year 7, so Remus, Sirius, James, Lily, and all their friends finish school, and they have a war, but there's the war, of course, going on, and so they don't really know what the future will hold for them, but it's so happy, and the final prank, it's just so wholesome, the idea behind it. Oh my god. That was me after finishing the second book. Years 5 to 7 at Hogwarts. I was happy. They were happy. The characters were happy. They were alive. Now they're not. And I doubt that I am. Really? I think I'm dead inside. That's possible. And as I am still alive on the outside, I'm now going to read the epilogue. I finished the third book, and I'm damaged. But apparently I'm not damaged enough, because now I'm going to do this to myself, read the epilogue. I'm going to film it so that you can see me. I think something will happen to Grant. If you don't know Grant, he is not in the Harry Potter books. He is an original character from All the Young Dudes, so Mrs. Kingbean invented him for that series specifically. I'm not going to prolong this or procrastinate reading the epilogue any further, because I don't want to read it, but it's not going to become any easier. I'm just going to read it. It's 36 pages, not long, and I need closure. I need closure, okay? Even if it's not good closure. Okay. The epilogue is structured in 2 parts, chapter 1 and chapter 2, and I just finished chapter 1. It's from Grant's perspective, and it's after Sirius and Remus are already dead. Grant just saw Teddy Lupin, so Remus's son, in his shop. He doesn't know who it was, so he thought he said Remus because he thought it was him, but it wasn't. It was his son, but he doesn't know that yet. But I think it's him. I'm really sure. Okay, I think this is actually the first chapter is making me feel better because Grant is now a foster dad, so he takes in foster children, and it's really wholesome at the moment. I will now read chapter 2. Teddy Lupin is approaching Grant. It's the next day, I think. Yeah, it's Teddy Lupin. That was a good ending. I'm glad I read the epilogue, actually. I'm a bit shocked, but I like the life that Grant has built for himself and that he meets Teddy Remus Lupin. So here I am after a few hours of good healthy crying, and no, okay, it's not been a few hours, but a few minutes maybe crying, and I have gained some perspective, some distance. No, not really, but I just wanted to say that even though this is a really sad book, I would still recommend this to anybody, especially after reading the epilogue, because it does have a well-rounded ending, which is, in perspective, it's a happy ending. I would say it's a happy ending. Like, there's a lot of tragic happenings going on, but the ending makes up for it, I think. Mrs. Kingbean is a masterful author. She really is a genius, and so I really recommend this to anyone who liked Harry Potter but thought it was a bit too childish or boring, because then All the Young Dudes is exactly what you need. And I don't have any idea whether I'm repeating myself or not, because I'm such a mess and I don't remember anything I said before. But I want you to know that if you read All the Young Dudes and you're suffering, I'm here with you. Would I reread it? I think I will reread it sometime. I couldn't live without Remus Lupin. Honestly, these past 2 months that I've been reading it, Remus Lupin and the world and the music have been such a big part of me. I don't think I could ever live without them in my heart. So I think this book is actually has become a big part of my life. And this is exactly what books should do, in my opinion. Not leave your thoughts possess you and haunt you for at least a month. And if they do, then they are worthwhile. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having watched this video and giving me emotional support. If you are already an All the Young Dudes fan, I salute to you. I feel your pain, because the series, if you want to summarize the series in one word, it's pain. Pain.